Hello, it's your boy Davidoff. So I put up my spoiler talk of Infinity War, which is a re-upload from 2018. This is a re-upload of two videos, Antman and Wasp spoiler talk and Captain Marvel thoughts. So that'll be in one video right now. And an Endgame spoiler talk is coming out soon, which is a re-upload also of a few months ago. So just so you know, these are coming. Enjoy. Hello, it's your boy Davidoff. I don't do many spoiler talk videos, but I want to do it for each MCU movie. I did a series earlier this year, a marathon of all the MCU movies leading up to Infinity War. So I've got spoiler talks for all those movies in a playlist that I'll probably link. And I want to continue that. I want to keep doing spoiler talk for each MCU movie. And and probably for DC as well, for the upcoming movies. And maybe Godzilla 2 when it comes out, but we shall see what happens. But anyway, I've got a spoiler talk for this movie. This, as I said, if you haven't seen my review, I did a vlog and review of it, which you can check out on my channel with Grandad. I reviewed at the end of it, non-spoiler. I thought it was an okay movie. It was quite good, nothing special, but some parts were likable, and the mid-credit scenes was mad as well. So yeah, it's an enjoyable movie, just not that great or anything like that. But basically, there's a device, and this is a lab. The building you see that shrinks in the trailers. They give a lot away in the trailers when you think about it, but in the trailers there's a building that shrinks. That is a lab, right? And there's a component as well for that lab. And there's three parties. There's Ghost, who's the main villain. There's the heroes, Hank Pym, Hope Van Dyne. What's Ant-Man's name again? Scott Lang. Scott Lang is helping them because they needed to go and help, because they think that because Scott in the first Hammer movie, he went into another realm and he came back, and in the past, Hope's mum, or Hank's wife, she also got stuck in a quantum realm, and she's been stuck in there forever. And because Scott Lang in the first movie went into a realm and came back, this made Hank think that it's possible that Hope's mum and his wife could still be saved, like she could still be alive in there. So this movie is all about Hank himself going into the quantum realm to go save his wife, more or less, and that's why they need the lab and the component. I'm pretty sure there's a component, I think, and there's a third party as well, right? They're technically villains, but they're not villains. They care about money. They want this lab because they want to sell it. They want to make money off it, and it's not like, it's more business. It's not really a personal thing, and they're not really like, I mean, I think he was about to kill someone at the end, but apart from that, the guy, the leader of those people, of that group, they weren't really villains. Neither was Ghost really. Ghost was just trying to stay alive, but she was willing to kill someone to do it. I'll get to that soon, but the two villain parties were not connected. They weren't really villains. They had motives. One was about staying alive, the other was about money, more or less. It wasn't like, oh, I want to destroy the world. It's nothing like that. But yeah, it felt quite interesting as well though. But yeah, as I said, I didn't like it that much, but it was enjoyable. A lot of things to like about it, and yeah, I just feel like the third party, the businessman who wanted to sell these things, they didn't need to be in the movie. Not in my opinion. I feel like they were like an extra. But yeah, towards the end actually, Louise, Dave and Kurtz, those three misfits, they're a funny squad, and they do something heroic towards the end where they take out the businessmen, take out the villains. They're not really villains, but they take out the businessmen, and it's a pretty good scene for them. And just before that, Louise was part of the chase scene at the end in a Hot Wheels car that he unshrunk, of course, enlarged. Yeah, that he enlarged. Basically, they have technology, obviously, like for the Ant-Man suit, where you get to shrink things and make things bigger. And they had a few cars in, like, I think it's Hope Van Dyne. She had a wallet. It wasn't a wallet. It was a little tin, and you open it, and there's like 10 cars inside, and you can pick one and enlarge it into a proper sized car. And Louise picked a Hot Wheels car, and he was driving around in it, chasing around, involved in the chase scenes. And at the end, and it was just really cool. Like it was really funny, and it was just really fun. Like that whole chase scene at the end, it involved Hope, it involved Scott, it involved the businessman, it involved Louise. All this was happening while Hank Pym was in the quantum realm saving his wife. So it was at the same time. So the more serious thing was quantum realm scenes, but then you get your lighter tones, fast-paced chase scenes on the side of it, and it's just like really awesome to watch. Scott, after Civil War, he's under house arrest. He has 3 days left, and if he leaves his house, then he breaks those rules. And also, if he comes in contact with Hope and Hank, then that deal is off. Then he gets like 20 years in prison. So there's a lot of things that could go wrong. But Hope basically, there's a big ant, right, that's in his house, and Hope somehow finds a way to put his tracker from his leg onto the ant's leg. And she somehow, well, you get to control ants basically. So she somehow gets the ant to act exactly like Scott does. So this amount of time in the toilet, this amount of time watching TV, playing the drums, etc. And while the ant was mimicking Scott's moves, Hope managed to get him out and get him to help him. And yeah, that's basically like how they rope him in to helping them, even though he can't talk to them. But yeah, he like in many parts of the movie, he gets away with stuff. Like he gets sighted or he gets caught, but he always has to run home. And it happened twice. He had to run home and he got back just in time before the FBI got there. And I think those scenes are pretty funny. Right, so her name is Janet, right? Janet Van Dyne. I just keep calling her that for now instead of saying Hope's mom or Hank's wife. Janet Van Dyne is the one who's stuck in the quantum realm, and she finds a way to communicate with Hank and Hope basically through Antman, through Scott Lang. Somehow she manages to get into his mind. I don't know how it works, but she can get into his mind to take over his body and communicate with her daughter and husband. And I think that's like, it's pretty weird but also pretty cool. And she also sent a message through Scott's dreams as well, and that was another interesting one. So yeah, it was a weird way to send a message, but it was pretty interesting, that's for sure. So in one scene, I can't remember exactly what the scene, like exactly the exact dialogue, but Hank and Hope and Scott, they needed help from Lawrence Fishburne's character. I can't remember his character's name, but Lawrence Fishburne's character, that's how you pronounce it, asked him for help, and then the FBI came along, but they got away just before they got there. But as it turned out later on, Lawrence Fishburne's character was working with Ghost, the villain, and that was just like, for me, I did not expect that. I did not see that coming. I saw the scene, like, because they tried to break into Ghost's house at one point, because Ghost took the device. She took the building away and she stored it in her home, and the three of them, they went in there to try and get it, and then they got caught, and they're all tied up, and Lawrence Fishburne's character, he just turns up, and you're like, he's working with Ghost. That was like the biggest surprise for me of the movie. That was like probably the only surprise, actually, to be fair. That was like, I did not expect that. That's like the one thing in the movie that I was like, I did not see that coming. Like, what on earth? And yeah, that was a pretty cool reveal. But yeah, they're not in danger for long though. Like, the heroes, they eventually get out. They find a way to get out. But basically, during that time, while the three of them are tied up, Ghost explains to them what happens. Basically, they mention Hank Pym's ego, and Lawrence Fishburne's character used to work with Hank, and their disagreements, and he quit. And also, who was also working with Hank was Ghost's dad, and they also had disagreements too. It's all about Hank's ego, etc. He didn't. Their disagreements, arguments, and even after they not separated, but even after they stopped researching together, even after Hank fired him, fired her dad, fired Lawrence Fishburne's character, Ghost's dad continued researching quantum realm stuff, and there was an explosion. Something went wrong, there was an explosion, and it killed her dad, her mum, and it gave her powers, but not in a good way. Basically, it's called, got it written down here, molecular disequilibrium. That's what it's called. Basically, every cell of hers is torn apart and stitched back together constantly on a daily basis. And basically, what that does is it helps her face through anything. She can go through walls, through people, and that's pretty cool. But it's also killing her, and she needs to. Her motivation is to survive. She doesn't want to die, but this thing is constantly killing her cells and it's fixing again, but it's killing her as well. And for her to survive, she needs to she needs to drain the life force of Janet Van Dyne, who is stuck in Quantum Realm, of Hope's mum. She needs to drain the life force to give her a bit more life, and I don't think it's permanent life. I don't think it heals her completely, but I think it helps her last longer. So she wanted to try and kill Janet Van Dyne just to like get energy to help her. And obviously Hank's trying to save his wife as well at the same time. And while all that's happening, there's the third party who wants to take everything and sell it for money as well. So it's a triple threat match. That's what it is. And I thought that was all pretty cool, pretty interesting. Like I'm not a big fan of Ghost. Like I don't think she was a great character, but I understood where she was coming from. Obviously her parents died. She got these powers, and she blames Hank because of what happened beforehand with her dad and Hank. And yeah, you can see where she's coming from, and I like that. I like a compelling villain, but I don't think she was a great character, anything like that. But she wasn't really a villain, as I said before. But it was still pretty interesting. I just, even though I said it wasn't that good, there were some talking points. There were some bits that are likable, and it was one of those things. And yeah, the most likable thing was probably the chase scene at the end. She also explained, by the way, when Hank, Hope, and Scott were tied up, that she worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. as an assassin, and obviously S.H.I.E.L.D. turned out to be Hydra anyway, but well, not all of them, but Hydra was inside S.H.I.E.L.D. the whole time. But anyway, never mind that, let's just ignore that. She was working for S.H.I.E.L.D. as an assassin because they promised her that they will heal her in return, and they lied to her. So she was here the whole time. She was like, throughout the MCU, like she was there, but no one knew. Great logic there, you know. A bit of a plot hole, because surely S.H.I.E.L.D. or Hydra would have found her useful back in Captain America Civil Winter Soldier. You know what I mean? Like, instead of sending Winter Soldier, you can send a girl that can phase through walls. She could really like be effective for you. But anyway, obviously she was just introduced in this movie, so that makes sense. But still, it's a bit of a plot hole in a way, because she was working for S.H.I.E.L.D. in the past, during the MCU, at the start of the MCU, and she was there the whole time, but it was never mentioned. Anyway, as I said, Hank Pym has gone into the Quantum Realm to save his wife. Meanwhile, it's the building he's inside is shrunk as well, and the businessman has took it. Antman goes big, it turns into Giant Man. He goes after the businessman. He takes the briefcase back. And then, well, he gets it to shore. Then he falls over into the water. It was in the sea. So it was like it was in the ocean, or a river, or a massive river. I don't know. It was in that water, all right. And basically, when he's Giant Man for too long, he passes out, and he passed out underwater. Hope had to go and save him. She saved him. Didn't take very long, that scene. Like seriously, like this scene and the scene when they were tied up. They got out of these scenes way too quickly. Like seriously, like there should be like they were not in danger for very long. Like the stakes are really not high in this movie, to be honest. But yeah, she saves him pretty quickly. There's the whole chase scene, of course, with Ant-Man, Hope, Luis, and that's an awesome scene. Or awesome scenes, shall I say. Meanwhile, Ghost is going into the lab. She's gone into the lab to try and drain the life force of Janet. Meanwhile, Hank Pym is trying to get out. Lawrence Fishburne's character is trying to stop Ghost from killing her, because he thinks there's another way. And well, eventually what happens is Hank and Janet, they get out. He finds her in the Quantum Realm. They get out. Ghost gets stopped from killing them, and then magic happens. Basically, Janet heals Ghost by touching her. Janet, who's stuck in Quantum Realm for decades now, she comes out, she touches Ghost on the face, or on the face. She touches Ghost on the face, like this, and she's healed. Literally, you spend like half the movie thinking like, how's she gonna get healed here? What's gonna happen? Like, is she gonna die or nothing? Nope. She just Janet, the woman who's being saved, comes out. She touches a Ghost, and she's healed. Well, what is this? It's just like, it's an ex machina thing. It's like, so many things happen, but then at the end, you get this one thing that's never there, and it just turns up and solves everything. That's just what happens here. That's just literally what happens. But yeah, I have no major issue with it. It's just that it was a little like random when it was a little like too fast, like the way like that's it. That's how you solve it. But yeah, I guess she still had quantum energy within her. I think she had some powers basically, and she was able to heal Ghost, and that was it. I think Ghost and Lawrence Fishburne's character. I keep saying Lawrence Fishburne's character. What is his name? Dr. Bill Foster. That's his name. Dr. Bill Foster and Ghost. I don't know where did they go? Pretty sure they went away somewhere. Like Ghost's gonna run away from him, but he was like, I'm not leaving you, I'm gonna help you basically, and that was it, I think. And then eventually it's 3 days later, Antman is well, he gets home just in time after the finale, and yeah, that is 3 days after, and the FBI had to take the thing off his leg, and he's now free. Unless they find out he was with Hope and Hank, then he's in a bit of trouble. But having said that, then you get to the after credit scene. If I talked about everything, I'm pretty. Oh yeah, by the way, in the chase scene, right? In the chase scene, Hope throws a Hello Kitty thing at 2 motorcycle riders, right? And she enlarges it, of course, and it flies in. And the slow motion is so sick. One bike is just sliding on the floor, and it hits the other bike, and it's just really cool. It's like a proper like awesome double kill, and it was done really awesome in like slow motion. And yeah, I thought I just mentioned that. Anyway, as for the mid-credit scene. This was very interesting. Basically, Scott is sent into the quantum realm to, I guess, collect something. I don't know, but Janet, Hank, Hope, and Louise are outside, telling him what to do. Not Louise, he's just standing there, but they're all outside telling him what to do, and they do a countdown for him to come back to Earth from the realm. And then on like 1, they stop talking, they lose contact, and then it cuts, and then like Scott's like, very funny guys, come on, pull me up, no messing around. Then you get out, then you go back outside, and you see that they've all turned to dust. Everyone apart from Scott, everyone outside, not everyone, but the people outside, Janet, Hope, Hank, they've all turned to dust. They've all disappeared because the balance is snapped. So obviously this happens at the same time as Infinity War. And that is just crazy. That is just crazy to see more deaths from Infinity War in another movie. While they've all disappeared, Scott is stuck in the quantum realm. No one's getting him out. So he'll be in Avengers 4. It will be interesting to see how he gets out of that realm and what happens. Because you see him, Hawkeye, Captain Marvel come in, all the remaining Avengers, all of the remaining Avengers, and Avengers 4 is looking to be very good. It's looking to be interesting. I cannot wait for that movie. It's out next May, I think, so really looking forward to it. As for the end credit scene, the second after credit scene, right at the end, it wasn't worth the wait. You wait about 10 minutes through all of those credits, and it's all for an ant playing drums. A giant ant in a house playing Scott's drums. You wait that long for that? You serious? Like, I remember the Spider-Man Homecoming one, where we're expecting something big, and then you just get Captain America saying, you waited so long for something so disappointing. But that was at least funny. They were taking the piss. But with this one, it was an ant playing drums. We waited so long for an ant playing drums. Are you serious? Unbelievable. Anyway, this was your boy Davidoff. He's like, by the way, as I said, the movie, it was fun, it was enjoyable, it just wasn't anything that special, wasn't anything great. Had some good moments though, and some good character moments. Movie, what do you think?
Good one.
You liked it?
This woman acted early also.
Did she?
No, Wonder Woman, those days.
Wonder Woman?
No, some woman they call it.
I don't...
Earlier we saw a film, a woman was...
Oh, King Kong?
No, a woman was acting.
Yeah.
Famous, you became famous from that film. You took me.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
Stunt.
There's someone in the movie that he thinks he knows. I have no idea.
But, yeah.
You liked it, yeah?
Yeah.
Out of 10?
I can put 10, 8.
8 out of 10? Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh dearie me. Alright, so I'm back home now. We actually got a lift because my granddad asked for a lift because he couldn't go home in the rain, so I went as well. So yeah, the weather's pretty bad right now, but yeah, here's my thoughts on Captain Marvel. It was passable. I think that's the right term for it. It wasn't great. I didn't love it. I liked parts of it. I really liked. There's some scenes that I loved. There's some scenes that I quite liked. Storyline was okay. It wasn't that special, to be fair. Brie Larson as Captain Marvel doesn't. I mean, it kind of works. It kind of doesn't. It's not nowhere near perfect. There's definitely room for improvement, and I hope she does improve because it's not quite there yet with Captain Marvel. I just hope that in Endgame she looks a lot better. And obviously in Endgame it's decades after her movie takes place. The movie takes place in the 90s. I'm pretty sure it takes place in 1995. I think they didn't reference it, but they said they're referencing an event in 89, and that was 6 years ago, so 95. That was the year I was born, so that was a nice a nice thing for me to realize. Speaking of the 90s, because it was a 90s movie and I'm a 90s kid, I was expecting some 90s nostalgia in the movie. It didn't quite deliver on that, to be honest. Like what you see in the trailer, the blockbuster, that's the main one. There's some other references there, 90s music, there's a box related to the 90s. There's an arcade sort of thing. It's there. It's just not done well enough. I just expected more out of it because it takes place in the 90s. I thought I'd see more things from the 90s, and it just wasn't there. It doesn't need to be there, to be fair, because it doesn't really matter towards the story. But still, it would have been nice because they sold us some 90s nostalgia in the trailers with Blockbuster as well. Blockbuster video showing up. But yeah, I just wanted to see a bit more of that. The pacing, the main issue in this movie is the pacing. Obviously, I said already, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, it wasn't quite there. It wasn't quite there. I don't think it was that special. So I hope she's better in future movies because she's going to be a part of future movies. So I just hope she gets better. To be fair, like Captain America, the First Avenger, as I said earlier, I mean, I didn't like it. I think it was okay at best. This one was kind of the same. This is kind of the same as First Avenger for me anyway. They're passable movies, but they're not particularly that good. They're just okay. They're just fine. You know what I mean? It's not terrible, but it's also not great. It's just somewhere in the middle. Which is not really that good for a Marvel movie that's like, well, what, 20 movies in now? I think, wait, we're 20, this is the 21st movie in the MCU, so for a franchise to go 21 movies long and a 21st one to be just okay, that is an issue. That is an issue. I can understand that. I need to go see reviews again because whether I like the movie or not, I like to see different people's perspectives of the movie. I enjoy looking at that. If I love a movie, I still want to see why people hate it. If I hate a movie, I want to see why they liked it. I like to see different opinions, both positive and negative. I think it's good to like get different opinions from people. So I'm gonna check out some more negative reviews. I want to see like, because a lot of people hated it. A few people hated it, and I want to see why in their reviews. So I want to like watch some. Well, I've watched them already. I want to watch them again. Watch some more as well. I want to like see more reviews just to see like, because I don't think this was like a hateable film. I think, to be fair, people probably expected a lot from this film. Since we're so far into the MCU, maybe that's why I let them down. But yeah, I don't see it as something that's like it's so bad that you hate it. I don't think it was that bad. It wasn't as bad as Venom. I mean, that's not a good comparison, to be fair. I liked Venom as well. I liked Venom, but yeah, this is definitely nowhere near the worst MCU movie, but it's also nowhere near the best either. So it's with Captain America: First Avenger for me, like with somewhere down the middle somewhere. But yeah, it's not that good. It's passable, as I said. But yeah, as I was going to say, the main issue is the pacing. At the start, it's good. At the start, I think, like, first it starts off in space, mainly in space and other planets, and then it gets to Earth eventually. When it gets to Earth, that's when the pacing starts getting a bit all over the place for me. I never know the difference between first, second, and third act. I'm pretty sure the third act is the finale. The first act is just the start of the movie. And when is the borderline between first and second and third? I never know. This is why I'm not some critic. I'm just a normal guy just watching movies. But the point is, the middle of the movie, when they get to Earth, it goes too slow. It goes too slow. There's a couple scenes that kind of get boring. I won't lie. But yeah, it's just a bit too slow. And I sometimes I don't mind slow as long as they advance the story well. It just wasn't really quite clicking and working. Samuel Jackson I liked, Coulson I liked. I thought they were fine. It was good to see younger, inexperienced versions of them. It was pretty interesting. The way Nick Fury loses his eye is very anticlimactic. Like, again, just like the nostalgia from the 90s, it's not meant to be a big part of the story, but still, you expect something more from it, and it just happened. It just happened. It wasn't like in a serious scene. Because, you know, Nick said the last time he trusted someone, he lost an eye. So I thought it would be like a more serious thing, but it's the way he lost it. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't a serious scene. It's just the way he lost it. It was just so like anticlimactic. I just thought it'd be a lot more dramatic the way he lost his eye. I mean, he lost his damn eye. I mean, come on, it just happened. But yeah, there was that as well. But yeah, the pacing, the middle bit was just so slow. It was so slow. Then the finale went too fast. So that was a little bit annoying because the final battles, they were cool. I think the best parts of this movie were the fight scenes and the chase scenes. There's some of those in this movie that they're good. I do enjoy. Like at the start, there's a really good fight scene, like fist fights with a lot of people. Really loved that. At the end, there's some good battles as well. But the ending battles, they went too fast, and they were just they didn't structure it really well. Like the start of it, first like 20 minutes or so, that was fine. The rest of it, it just wasn't, the pacing wasn't right for me. So yeah, it just the middle was just too slow for my liking. So yeah, that's an issue with it for sure. The visuals were okay. The visuals were at times great, at times not so good. Sometimes it looked a bit weird. Obviously effects are effects, you know it's fake, but the point is you're meant to make it look believable. Like, it can't look fake is the point. And sometimes you kind of like look at it and think, the effects could be done better here and there. You know, some of the effects were just a little bit off. It wasn't terrible, but it was a little bit off. But yeah, there's some good effects as well. The best scenes, as I said, were the action scenes. The most intense scenes of the movie were definitely the best scenes, for sure. The humor, because the Marvel movies, obviously, they're known for having humor. Some of them are more serious, but even the more serious ones do have the humor in it. Like Infinity War was very serious, but it still had a lot of jokes in it. So this one, there wasn't as much, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. More of the jokes came towards the end, actually, to be fair. The jokes were actually quite funny. A bit funnier than usual, actually. But they weren't really there that much, which again isn't a bad thing. But at times it didn't really feel like a Marvel movie, which I guess also isn't a bad thing, really, because you want them to feel different, really. You don't want everything to feel the same. But this one wasn't really different in a good way. It was like, it just felt a bit off at times, you know. Sometimes I forgot it was a Marvel movie, to be honest. Like sometimes there were scenes that take you out of it a little bit. Some scenes reminded me of Star Wars in a way. I can't really explain it without spoiling the movie, but there's some space scenes that remind me of Star Wars, a bit of space battles. There's something else, I forgot to write it down, there's something else that the movie reminded me of. There's a different franchise that reminded me of. Star Wars was one, there was one before that, at the start of the movie that I got memories. Green Lantern. Yeah, Green Lantern. Not necessarily the movie. Sorry, I stuttered so much. Not necessarily the movie, but I mean the character. How he's a pilot and he's in some space force. This is similar. Like she's in some space force and she was a pilot. There's some similarities there. It's not exactly the same. It's very different, but they do show you how she gets her powers. And I think it's really cool how she gets her powers. I think it's very interesting. I was like, okay, so I don't think she was born with her powers. I think she just got them, and I was like, all right, that's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. Another thing, the Skrulls. The Skrulls were interesting. The Skrulls were obviously they're shapeshifters that can turn into any person. They can look at a person and turn into them. They also take in their memories, their latest memories. They're from like the last few years, I guess. They don't remember like when they were born, etc. They just remember like when they take someone's body. They don't take their body, but they look at a body. They take their body, and they take some of their memories, the most recent memories. So that's an interesting power. I think it's pretty cool, and I think there are definitely Skrull on Earth. Just the way the movie makes me think, I think there's some Skrull on Earth. I think there's a rumor that one of the Avengers are a Skrull, so that should be interesting if that turns out to be true. But yeah, the Skrulls were interesting. I didn't expect to like them as much as I did, but I kind of liked them, to be fair. They were some of the best parts of this movie. Speaking of best parts, the main villain was good. The main villain, I thought he was fine. He wasn't like an amazing villain. Marvel are not known for great villains, but recently they've done better. Vulture was good in Homecoming. Hela was good. Killmonger was amazing. Thanos was amazing. So they've done some great villains recently, in recent years. This guy, not quite as good as those ones, but he was pretty good. I quite liked him. I quite liked his role in the movie. Ronan. This guy. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, I watched that a lot of times. I love that movie. I think it's one of the best MCU movies even now. But Ronan was a bad villain in that movie. He wasn't good. He was just there. He wanted to cause destruction. He wasn't a good villain in Guardians. So I thought maybe in this movie he might redeem himself. You know, for me anyway, he might change my outlook on him. It didn't. He was just. He didn't. I didn't see him as anything different. I just saw him as like another just bad villain from Marvel. So this movie didn't change my view on him, which I'm kind of disappointed by, because I thought it would. I thought I would like him more after this movie, and clearly I was wrong. So there we go. That's why you don't expect things when you go into the cinema. And yeah, Goose the Cat was surprisingly interesting. There are a couple quite emotional scenes. One of them I think they're done pretty well. I think like this movie isn't meant to have heart, obviously. It's meant to have heart, this movie. And there are a couple emotional scenes. One of them I was like, okay, I kind of like this. There was another big emotional scene, and it just didn't fit. It just didn't. It was meant to pull off an emotional. It was meant to be emotional, but it just didn't work. It just didn't fit in that moment. It just felt weird to me when it happened. It was meant to be a good scene, and it was a good scene in a way, but it just didn't land. You know when a scene's like, it's the right scene to do, but it just doesn't quite work. Yeah, it was one of those scenes. I don't know if you know what I mean, but yeah, there's that as well. It was yeah, there was an emotional scene where I thought, it's a bit off. There's another scene where I was like, wow, that's quite heartwarming as well. And a couple more things. There was a bit of the music. There was some 90s music in this, but it was a bit out of place. There was music playing during a battle, which I thought was really weird, because I mean, music can play during a battle, they usually do, but the song that was playing during this particular battle, it just did not fit at all. I was just like, why is this music here? This is a cool battle, but why is this music here? It just felt really weird to me, like what was happening during one of the fight scenes in terms of the music. It was just, it was strange. It was strange to me. Also, you get to find out the Avengers' origin. I don't mean the team's origin. I mean the team name's origin is in this movie. So, yeah, I'm not going to say what it is, but the team's origin is in this. It's not something like something amazing, not groundbreaking, but you get to see where the name Avengers comes from. So there was a thing in this movie, a powerful thing, an artifact. If you've seen the movie, I think you know what it is. It is a powerful thing that we've seen in previous MCU movies multiple times, in multiple movies, especially the Avengers movies. And you might guess what it is by now, but I'm not going to say what it is just in case it's a spoiler, just in case people don't get it. But when I saw this thing, I thought, wait a second, isn't this thing meant to be over there? Based on a previous movie. So I think there's a continuity error. I think there's a timeline error in this. I don't know whether I'm right, or maybe Marvel changed the timeline. I have no idea. Maybe they retconned it. I have no idea. But when I saw this thing, I was like, wait a second. Wait, what? But if this is here, then what's over? I was so confused. Like, why is this thing here? Like, that's all I can say. That's all I can say at the moment. That's at the moment. I'm not gonna make a spoiler video. I don't think I'm gonna make a spoiler video. I might, but nah, I'm not gonna make one. if you've seen the movie, then you know what I mean. Like, you see this thing here and you're like, wait a second, that's not meant to be here. Like, it shouldn't be here, surely. But yeah, I can't really explain much apart from that. And yeah, that's it in terms of the movie. So onto the credit scenes. The second one, I don't think I can tell you it's worth waiting for. It's not usually, like in Marvel end credit scenes, the first mid credit scene is the one that teases another movie, and then or teases something else, and then the one at the end of the credits is usually something funny, something comedic. This time wasn't comedic. This time it was just something random and was meant to be funny, but it wasn't. So I'm not sure if the final ending credit scene is worth staying for. But the first after credit scene is worth staying for. The mid credit scene. So the credits roll, you get all these visuals, all the main actors' names. Then you get this first after credit scene. Stay for that. Definitely stay for that. That is worth staying for. Even if you hate Captain Marvel, if you're looking forward to Avengers Endgame, then stay for that. It is a scene from that movie. That's all I'm gonna say. It is a scene from that movie. Just like in Antman. Antman after credit scene, they showed a scene from Civil War. It's the same thing. Endgame, they show a scene from Endgame. So yeah, just so you know. Just so you know. And also, one last thing, not about the movie. I mentioned earlier how I don't take Rotten Tomatoes seriously, but for some reason I keep checking it and I don't know why. Okay, I don't know why. So the critic score is high in the 80s. It's low 80s, but it's in the 80s, which is high for any movie. And the audience score is at 31%, so that is pretty low. So what I'm thinking based on this is they're both biased. That is my opinion. That's my unbiased opinion. I think they're both biased. I think the critics are giving it a higher rating because they're trying to give it a good image. They're kind of biased a bit towards this Marvel movie, I think. That's just my opinion anyway. There are some bad reviews as well, but still 81% is high. So I think it's high because people are trying to give it a good review. Trying to give it a better review than they actually think of it. You know what I mean? But I also think the audience score is so low because people want to hate it. I just think people hated it before they saw it anyway, and I think some people are hating it without even seeing it as well. So I think like I think both scores are biased. I don't think it's as good as 80%, but it's not as bad as 30. You know, I don't think it's that bad. Just like I defended Venom, I defended BVS, I'm defending this. Okay, I don't think it's great. I told you just now a lot of issues with the movie. There was a lot of issues there. There was a lot of issues. But it wasn't terrible. Like, I still enjoyed parts of it, and yeah, it wasn't great though. It wasn't great, nothing that special. It's just that the main thing was Brie Larson is Captain Marvel, and she didn't really pull it off as well as I thought she would. I mean, I didn't think she would. Obviously, you've got to see the movie first, but she didn't pull it off as well as we would have liked. So yeah, that's a bit of a worry, but hopefully in Endgame she's a lot better, and hopefully in the future. Because Captain America vs Avenger, I didn't like him after that movie. So I mean, I liked him, I respected him, he was a hero, but I don't think he was a great hero. So maybe my mind on Captain Marvel will change, just like it did with Captain America. So we'll see. All right, so yeah. Yeah, you see my you heard my rating already, so yeah, Grandad loved it anyway. This is your boy Davidoff. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. I should have sat in the middle. Yeah, it's a bit late now, innit? See ya.